Alright, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance review. So smash that like, subscribe, make sure you ring the bell for notifications. Uh, Comment and tell me your least favorite part of this movie, if you have any favorite parts, if you like this movie at all. Let's jump into this. So, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. It takes some. I'm not the most familiar with Ghost Rider stuff when it comes to Ghost Rider comics and the source material itself, but I do recognize that it takes some liberties and some departures, such as well, there's one thing I wasn't really clear on here. Mephisto is the devil. For some reason, they refer to him as Rorik in here. I'm not too clear on why on that. If there's a reason to that, if that's related to another comic book character or something, or if that's just I don't know. Anyways, so this film is a pretty bad, really hard B movie. It does have some good scores and themes, music. For the most part, it has terrible acting. It's way over the top. Nicolas Cage should have been restrained. But from what I understand, is that they gave him all the freedom because they really enjoyed seeing Nicolas Cage go all out. That's not something you do with Nicolas Cage. You don't let him go all out. You have to restrain this man, because he's pretty out there. He's pretty out there. Makes the craziest expressions and does all kinds of weird things all the time. So the one positive I can say about this film is that the Ghost Rider looks 100% better. He looks realistic. The first Ghost Rider film, he felt way too clean. He felt way too computer generated. The jacket with the spikes on it and all that, that was nice, but he just looked way too clean, like unreal, not there. Uh, Here, there's a lot of details added to him, like his jacket. You can tell like it's boiled. It's suffered from the heat. And his skull, like his flaming skull, now smolders with smoke. It has staining on it from the fire. It's really ashy and burnt up. All that stuff looked great. There's a lot of negatives though. There's a lot of negatives. Now there is a connection between other Marvel movies, an intentional connection. The actor Idris Elba, I believe his name is, wears the yellow eyes in here just like he did for Heimdall in the Thor movies, and that was I've read that that was said to be intentional, so he could create a connection between the characters that makes you wonder. And this film is written by, from what I understand, it's written by Goyer, who is a hit or miss. He either writes things you really love or you really hate. I don't think there is no middle ground with him. I don't know if you know his hits are a fluke or if his misses are his ego going to his head, um, and placing it firmly up his ass. I don't really know that situation there. This writer's really weird. He does some good things, he does some really bad things. Or maybe there's other writers involved and he just takes the credit when it's good. I'm not sure. But Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. I've got to say that the action is lackluster. The acting is terrible. Um, it's got some good actors in it, but like you get to see Rupert Giles in here, Anthony Stewart Head. It perfectly fitting for him to be in a film like this, because he plays Ripper on Buffy, and he plays in some other darker roles. But the movie, he's only in there briefly though, like opening scene brief. The movie though, just fails. It fails on every level. Maybe the storyline. I personally don't find the storyline all that interesting. I think it's boring. I think it's really bogged down. It's really all over the place, and it really doesn't help that it often takes you out of it often breaks its own reality. It takes you out of the immersion, the engagement, the focus. It takes you out of it by having these little cutaways to things like explaining the devil to the audience, explaining the lore to the audience, or just showing Ghost Rider pissing fire and looking back at the screen like nodding at us. So it really takes you out with some really odd choices like that. Um, there's also another thing here. Let me just get the storyline out of the way. Okay, so the storyline is this: the devil had a son. There was a woman that agreed to have a son for the devil in exchange for saving her life. The devil wants this kid now, so he's sending kidnappers after this kid to bring him to him so he can do this ritual where he transfers his body to the son because his body's decaying and no human body can hold the power of the devil inside of it for very long. So he's got to switch vessels. And with the son, though, he's half demon, half human, so he can switch to that body and have all the power of the devil on earth because the devil is weakened when he's on earth. That this son would give him the perfect gateway to have all of his power on earth and just bring about ultimate destruction, apocalypse, whatever. Um, now, there's several things in this movie, like for the most part, you don't get to see Ghost Rider very often because Nicolas Cage is trying to cage the rider because the rider is just hungry for souls. He wants to kill anybody bad, just going all out. So Nicolas Cage is often trying to restrain him because he'll kill everybody. Uh, this movie, the positives of it are the Ghost Rider looks 100% better, uh, and that it's more mature. The movie itself, it's darker as it should be. It's a Ghost Rider film. It's a Marvel Knight film. But it really sucks. There's a lot of odd decisions here. Like, I mean, when you think you're gonna get some pretty strong Ghost Rider action, you have things like him ride up on a bunch of villains, get up, walk toward one, and the guy just unloads a clip in his mouth, and then Ghost Rider huffs and puffs for a whole 60 seconds and then shoots all these bullets back out at him. You have dumb things in there like that are completely unnecessary and just make you scratch your head. It's really cringeworthy stuff often throughout here, especially from Nicolas Cage himself with his over the top acting. The Probably the strongest portion of the movie is at the end when the after the devil fails to transfer because the boy tricked pretty much essentially tricked the devil when after Ghost Rider got cured and that looked really bad. They cut to like a white screen where it's just Ghost Rider in this blank white area and chains pouring out of his mouth. Things cutaways like that are completely they just take you out of the reality of the movie. They break the reality of the movie. And but this boy, he decides to give Ghost Rider back his powers after Ghost Rider is being cured, and then a chase ensues because Ghost Rider slaughters this whole cult of the Devil's people, and a chase ensues, and it looks really great. It's a daylight. You can see all the details on the rider's bike, the smoldering smoke, the burns, the boiling of his jacket, all that crazy stuff. And he gets in a fight with Blackout. With Blackout, who's not really Blackout in here, they took. That's one of the departures I'm talking about from the comics. Blackout is not Blackout in here. He looks like Blackout, but it's just some really strange choices here. From what I understand, though, is the fight scene. It's pretty good there on the highway. It's pretty good compared to the rest of the movie. It's the strongest portion of the movie, and oh god, just basically the ending of the movie is probably the strongest portion of the movie. That action scene that plays out right there, but the rest of the movie is just like it's really hard to sit through. Very cringeworthy. Some of the music's okay. Some Most of the dialogue is a failure. Most of the acting's a failure. Um, and Ghost Rider goes like Spirit of Vengeance in here. Turns blue and gets all that angelic flame. From what I understand, that the kid in this movie is, uh, like I said, I'm not the strongest on here, but when it comes to Ghost Rider source material, but Danny Ketch appears as the child in this film, and uh, he's the one who's like supposed to be the third rider, the spirit of vengeance, or whatever you want to have it. Um, so they kind of just meshed Johnny Blaze and Danny, his version of the rider, together. And the movie it's not good. It's really not good. I really wanted to like it because Ghost Rider needs exposure. This is one of those characters that deserves a franchise. And, I was really hoping that he could get a Netflix show, but since Netflix turned on Marvel, started canning everybody, that's not going to happen. But the good news is that, what's his name, Bob Iger, said that Disney will have a rated R section, and I talked about this in some of my other reviews. Disney's going to have a rated R section for characters, so Ghost Rider can be done, and it could be badass. You could have a crossover with him and Doctor Strange, since they pretty much have very similar and in some cases the same enemies. So you could have them go to a different plane, a different realm, team up and fight together. That would be awesome. But for now, uh, there was a version of Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that I saw. It was okay, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a very lighthearted production. You can't do a lot on there. It's just way too clean of a show, way too family friendly. So, sadly, this is the best of the Ghost Rider in live action you're going to get. And that's very sad. And I'm going to rate this movie a 1 out of 10. I really like the way the Ghost Rider looked this time around. But the movie just failed. It really failed, and it failed hard. It took them years to make this sequel, and these are the results. So I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10. Like, subscribe, comment. Tell me your favorite or least favorite parts of this movie. I'm not monetized, so if you want to help support my channel, check out my PayPal me link. Otherwise, stay awesome and rock on.